Hey there! Your character needs skills, so each one becomes another MonoBehaviour on the player prefab. Every character carries its own copy of every skill, and when it's time to balance them, you're running around the components in your hierarchy, hoping you haven't missed anything. Today, I'll show you how to use scriptable objects the wrong way. Not as data holders, but as swappable logic containers. And it's not just for skills. I'll show you the other use cases and compare it to the alternatives. Buckle up! I'll start with a base class for a skill. It'll be an abstract scriptable object, and for the execution, I'll have a regular abstract void. But it can also be a task, a unitask, or whatever you prefer for your async work. Because I want to reuse the instances of the skills, I make them stateless by passing the parameter directly to the execute method and not caching it. Please note that this might cause performance issues if, for example, you try to retrieve a component here on every execute. Try to avoid that. The first skill will teleport my character forward. I'll call it Blink because, well, that's what it was called in Smite, and I've played the hell out of this game back in the day. I need to change the values of the create asset menu attribute, and instead of inheriting directly from scriptable object, it should inherit from my skill-based class, which is a scriptable object already. I'll need two serialized fields here. When I teleport forward, I want to leave a ghostly image behind me, so I'll need a reference to a prefab. And I'll also need to know what distance I should travel. And now to implement the execute method. This is a classic case for object pooling. I'll use instantiation here just for the sake of simplicity, but don't repeat it in your code. If you don't know how to use object pooling, let me know in the comments and I'll make a video about it. I need to calculate the motion distance and ask the character controller to move to the new position. Character controller is a built-in class, and behind the scenes it will use physics to move my character. Lastly, I want to destroy the ghost after 1 second. Again, don't do that. Use object pooling. I think I'll create one more skill. This one will imitate a shockwave, spawning a bunch of orbs around the player and throwing them away. Same as before, I need to adjust the parameters of the attribute and inherit from skill base. Now the serialized fields. I'll need a reference to an orb prefab, which in my case will be a simple yellow sphere with a collider and a rigid body. And I'll also need two more configurable parameters. One is the number of orbs I'm going to spawn, and the other is the force I'm going to apply to them after spawning. Inside the execute method, I'll cache the origin position, and in a simple for loop, I'll calculate the rotation of each spawned orb along with its direction. And once that's done, I'll spawn it. And once again, I'm instantiating here, which, as I said previously, is suboptimal. Not only that, but after calculating the launch force, I also get a component from a newly instantiated object. A better approach would be to instantiate a custom class that already caches the rigid body internally. Lastly, I apply the calculated force to the rigid body and trigger the destruction after 1.5 seconds. Now, it's time to create the controller that will handle all of my character's skills. It'll be a simple MonoBehaviour, and I'll need a couple of serialized fields here. I'll need a reference to the character controller, and since the player has a potentially unlimited number of skills, I'll add an array of skills here. To execute a skill, I'll create a wrapper method that will accept a skill ID, which I'll use as an index in my collection. Please note that in a real world, you'd want to add error handling here, because the ID could easily go out of bounds, the skill could be null, or the execute could throw an exception. Now, the way it's going to work is through my player input controller. It's using the new input system, and if you're not familiar with how the input system works, check out my input system videos. But in a nutshell, I have a class that invokes those callbacks when some action is executed. I'll need to hold a reference for skills controller, and inside the onSkill callback, I'll invoke its execute skill method. But first, I need to make sure that the skill was actually pressed. Then collect the index of the binding and use it as skill ID. What I did is, I added multiple bindings to the same action. So my 1, 2, 3, and 4 keys are bound to the skill action and they all invoke this method. And now it's time to set things up in Unity. I've prepared 2 prefabs beforehand. The orb for the shockwave skill, which is basically only a renderer, a collider, and a rigid body, and the ghost prefab for the blink skill. This prefab contains only the model of my vampire with a transparent material. No additional logic here. And now I'll create the scriptable objects for my skills. Both live in the Assets menu where I put them, and I'll need to assign the prefabs to them. I made it easy for myself and added a skill prefix to both prefabs, so this way I can just search for them in the Assets menu. The final step is setting up the character. I don't need the skills controller, which requires a reference to the character controller, and while I'm at it, I'll drag the skills controller reference to the input controller, so it will be able to notify when the skill button is pressed. And of course, I need to add the skills. With this setup, when the player presses 1, it'll trigger the blink skill, and 2 will trigger the shockwave skill. And I can add more, duplicate them, or shuffle them around, even during play mode. And speaking of play mode, let me show you what it looks like. Pressing 1 during the game teleports me forward while leaving a ghostly image behind that dissolves after a second. Pressing 2 shoots orbs around me. Each orb could have had a script attached that damages the enemies. Or I could have spawned a circular particle effect around me and damaged anyone within a selected radius. Your imagination is the limit. By the way, liking or subscribing is also one click. It tells YouTube to show this to more Unity devs, which is basically what keeps this channel running. But why scriptable objects? Why not regular classes or even MonoBehaviours? Actually, all 3 are viable, and sometimes this approach is not the best. Plain classes shine when your logic has to run outside Unity. Say, a backend validating skills. But they fight the editor. No clean inspector support, no prefab references. Every balanced tweak is a recompile. And even if you serialize them with something like Odin, each character carries its own copy of the config. Imagine a global modifier, like weather boosting certain attacks in Pokemon. With a copy per character, you're either updating every single instance or forcing everything to go through a centralized pipeline, which is not bad, but something you should consider. MonoBehaviours fix the editor part. Inspector, prefab references, no recompiles, but the config is still duplicated on every character and buried in the hierarchy. Not only that, but every skill needs a game object and a component just to run one tiny method. Scriptable objects give you the inspector workflow without the scene, 1 instance per game. That weather modifier becomes 1 change in 1 place. Need variants? Duplicate the asset. Short blink, long blink, boss blink, you name it blink. No new code and the duplicated asset can be reused as well. The caveats? For starters, same as with MonoBehaviours. Sharing code with a backend gets hard. 1 instance also means shared state. Anything the skill stores at runtime is shared by everyone using it. And assets can't reference scene objects, so anything scene-bound needs some form of injection. Thankfully, there are plenty of ways to solve it. By the way, skills are not the only use case. You can use this approach for any configurable logic. For example, you might have a first-time user experience, a tutorial, where each step is a scriptable object. Some steps, like wait for click, can be repeated, and this way your game or level designer will be able to modify the flow of the tutorial easily, without recompiling the project. It's already become the theme of my channel. There is no ideal approach and everything has its drawbacks. I see those videos as means of adding more tools to your toolbox, and I hope you'll be able to use them when needed. Stay tuned for more Unity videos. Until then, keep on creating, and I'll see you in the next one.